The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv, a day after a special circus meeting of the Combination
City Council
and School Committee. But we have to start with our figures or lack thereof from Commander COVID.
Commander COVID. Total cases yesterday for Massachusetts was 115,310, with an increase again of 262 cases. 8,657 deaths, with 12 new deaths in the city. The city of Fall River has 1,876 confirmed cases of COVID-19, a 3-case increase, and there's no new fatalities. So we're still at 120 deaths. So there are your numbers, people. Not that they're going to help you any, but it also looks like maybe this weekend the state is going to cease providing the numbers over the weekend, similar to what Rhode Island did. So I'm wondering what is the whole thing behind this. And from what I've been told, it's because the amount of information they have, it just takes too long to compile to put into the dashboard. So I personally think they've put too much information into the dashboard. So, I mean, if you're a researcher, that information is great. But if you're not a researcher, it's way too much.
Yeah, and we do not, we are saying these are the figures we have. We are not attesting that they're accurate because we've seen all kinds of controversy about the figures. And their accuracy is always a question. But okay, let's move on to that special combination meeting. Can we begin with a kudos, a high five, and an acknowledgement of it's really refreshing to see an elected official actually say it's time to tighten your belt. It's time to keep your word. And who did that, CJ?
Yep, it's somebody I've never really supported a great deal. Even when I ran against him, I didn't support him. After I ran against him, I didn't support him. Before I ran against him, I didn't support him. And that was Kevin Aguirre. And I've got to give him the great big kudos, great big hand there, because he called him out. He said, you know what we do in the school committee? We look back 5 years, and we look at where we are now. And if we can't afford it, we try to see where the increases came from, and we do away with the increases. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Fiduciary responsibility.
I know. It's
That's
scary.
almost an expletive in the city.
And it's a very scary thing. And will the city ever do that? Will this mayor turn around and look back 3 years and see where we were and look at us today, because we're in desperate times right now, and say, okay, all of those increases we're going to cut? If that means you got to cut a salary, you got to cut a salary. If you got to cut a position, you've got to cut a position. That's the way it is. And the people of Fall River expect that. That's what they expect of you, Paul. They expect of you to cut the budget at your end. And it should start in your office. You don't need a special assistant. You don't need a chief of staff. You don't need a press secretary. You don't need those things. Get rid of them. Do the job yourself. You're the one who said you never needed a press secretary, but now that's all you have.
Well, he can't, because he went on the radio and said that he doesn't understand a lot of this stuff, and he has to ask and be told twice. And so he's depending on Mary Shahadi, the person who's had miscalculations and figures and knows only how to go out after the almighty dollar. And while we're passing out some kudos, let's give some kudos to the councilors who went on record saying that we made a commitment that this debt override wouldn't appear till 23, and we're not going to support bringing it in early. So I believe that was
Kadeem.
Yeah.
Sean Kadeem. Michelle Dion, Pamela Liberté LeBeau, they were all vocal about it, and Linda Pereira. They were vocal about not supporting it. And that's enough votes right there. That's enough votes, 5 votes, to not have it go in. So I think the mayor got the message right then and there. But the mayor did say he had no intention of bringing the debt exclusion online until 2023. But Mary Sahadi keeps proposing it. Just like she proposed trash fees and purple bags again. And Paul said there'll be no purple bags, but he is considering a household trash fee.
We just pegged the line. He was considering that because that was mentioned at meetings.
That's right.
So again, we talk about misrepresentations, the masters of misrepresentation. And therein lies the problem. And kudos to those people for saying they want to keep their word. And more kudos to Kevin Aguiar for saying, look to where you can save money. But we never do. Not with Mary Sahadi. She is the ultimate spendthrift. All she knows how to do is rape and pillage the taxpayers and the city employees. You said look back 3 years like the school department. How about when Paul got the figures for the last 10 years for the healthcare costs? And the only thing in this city that is cheaper today than it was 10 years ago is the healthcare, or the same price. So what is the reward for that? They're going to go back and try to rape the damn employees again. And apparently, it's very disappointing. And it's, because, they're saying that these things are on the table, and they're not on the table. There have been gross misrepresentations. He tries to say everything's on the table. We're not really considering the GIC. Yes. You're looking at it, Mary Sahadi said it at the meeting, they're looking at a premium plan. The only premium plan this city can get into is the GIC, because they do not have the money to get into a private sector premium-based plan. Because if they did that, they would have to pay all the incurred but not reported runoff claims from the plans that we have now, Blue Cross. And then they would have to put up upfront money, which all private entities require for incurred but not reported if you ever stop having them as a carrier. And 12, when Flanagan began to go to the GIC, and I stopped it by explaining plan modeling was better. They wanted to go to a premium plan. I wanted to go to a premium plan for years. And why couldn't we go? The city couldn't afford it. They never had enough money budgeted for healthcare to afford to transition to a plan. So now they're going to dump us in a state plan, which, by the way, no city or town in Massachusetts has entered the GIC in the past 4 years. 11 communities have gotten out of the GIC. And if we go to the GIC, we're locked in for 3 years. It's unconscionable. And then they were considering changing premiums. We had to change the premium to 2 weeks, 2 pay periods to take out healthcare. Because there are people in the city, and apparently our mayor, even though he worked in the school department and saw how many kids the only good meal they ever got was in school, apparently he hasn't looked at the average income in his city. And I guess the people he hangs around with all make Mary Sahadi money. Because apparently he's forgotten that the reason they had to go to taking the healthcare out in 2 different pay periods was there are people who are working in this city, going to work every day, working a 40-hour week in this city, who, if they took the healthcare premium out of their one paycheck, they would have about $3 left. And he wanted to increase the premium. He wants to give these people more co-pays. He's going to say, we're going to save $20. You'll save $20 a month. That's $240 a year. And the first time you walk into a Boston hospital, you're going to pay $800 more than you pay right now in our plan. You're out of pocket max if you have a family plan. If you're a young couple with children, you're out of pocket before they begin to cover your expenses is $7,000 higher. $7,000. And they're going to go in front of the city council and lie again and say this is a cost savings. It is a cost shift. And he wants to re-implement the trash. See? Go ahead. You know what I got to say about that? Sam Sutter. Bye, Paul. Because everything about this, no transparency, it's somewhere in a scale between disingenuous and duplicitous. There's laws, and you were presented with those laws yesterday. If you're going to propose something, you have to give it under 32B, sections 21, subsections B through H, 22 and 23. You have to give us what you're proposing. You have to give us numbers and impacts, and then we're responsible for bargaining it, and you will pay mitigation money. This is going to be an ugly battle because you're killing the city employees. You're going after their health care. You're going to shift the burden to them, not save money. Take it out of somebody else's pocket. You hit the taxpayers, and some of these people live in the city. So you hit them with the water increases, maximum 2.5, all the other increases, and now you're going to take $6 million extra dollars out of their pockets from their health care. So you're going to negotiate a 1% pay raise for them. You give them $15 a week. You give them $15 a week for a pay raise, and every time they walk into a doctor's office, they're losing $100 with their new plan, with the cost shifts. And believe me, this is going to go big time public because I can be in front of the council till hell freezes over with this. Because if the city council wants to screw the city employees who gave up things at the bargaining table to get this health care, and who have worked with the city, by the way, with HR, to keep our premiums down, the cost. Show me another city that the cost of health care with the same fundamental plan is the same as it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it. And Fall River, again, it's going to go where no man is dared to go in the last 4 years. We're going to be the only damn city that goes into the damn GIC. Everybody else is bailing out. And they're sticking us in to save a couple of dollars so they can blow it again. Kevin Angal was right. Show me one thing you do to save money. Show me where you're truly cutting costs by eliminating something that isn't politically motivated. You think I take this personally? I do. I do take it personally. Because I'm the guy that gets the calls from the non-Medicare eligible retiree who will now have to go to Boston for cancer care and pay $1,500 as a tier 3 copay for using a Boston hospital. And then, when she continues to pay that, her out-of-pocket expenses are going to go from 1,500 $3,000 to $5,000. All these hidden costs that nobody knows about, that you shifted to them. People that have worked their whole careers for peanut wages. Not the kind of wages you got. Not the kind of wages Mary Zahadi gets. They made barely over what she made the last 2 years as a pay raise and a stipend. Some have made a lot less. So you think this isn't personal to me? It is. Because these people work their whole life in the city of Fall River. And the thanks they got is They're being used as numbers. Mary Sahadi referred to the retirees' liabilities. She referred to the DCM workers who were laid off when we went to this abortion that we called privatization, which we said was going to be a disaster. She called them liabilities. All they are is liabilities. Get rid of them. They're not human beings who are losing their jobs and losing a career. Just get rid of them. We don't care. You're nothing but a number. You think I believe you now when you tell me that you really care? When you can do this and then go behind the scenes and even entertain a 50-50 split on a premium? Yeah, I found out about it. When you pretend you're really not committed to the GIC, when you're looking for a lawyer to help you get it, well, you're wrong. You're wrong. And whether you win or lose this battle, because on some legal technicality, which I don't think you will, but hey, you know, all I can do is fight the fight and hopefully be joined by the rest of the people. But I can tell you one thing: a year this November, you're going to lose the battle.
Well, I think it's interesting, Chip, because we're looking at things that we've had forever. And you're right. The healthcare has saved money, has saved millions of dollars, and is still at the same cost that it was 10 years ago. But Mary Sahadi said yesterday that she's looking to extend the retirement payments. And I guess they have no idea that by extending the retirement payments, their payment goes up. It doesn't go down. So what good is it going to be to extend the retirement payment? And what happens if we have a stock market fallout? Is the retirement board able to handle that?
No, that's extremely good questions, because number one, what she knows about the retirement system, except how much money they pay, if you put that in a thimble, you would have enough left over to put a milkshake in that thimble. Because she has no idea how that factor is computed. There is a very good possibility that if they extended their payment, she thinks it's going to go down. Well, theoretically, under the right circumstances, it actually could go up. But even if it didn't go up, if it went down, it doesn't really go down. It's like just paying the interest on your credit card. The retirement system will have no wiggle room if there's a stock market crash. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the people, to the retirees, and not only to the retirees, but to the people who are in active employees now, to try to keep that system from collapsing. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 years? Who knows if Trump wins or if Biden wins and the stock market crashes, if China takes over the world economy and our investments get in trouble. We're going to have some wiggle room. And by extending that contract, it takes away. It's fiduciarily irresponsible. And I can tell you right now, the new director, he's not new, he's been there for a while, Mike Pasternak, was a PERAC auditor. And I've already had a conversation with him. And he knows that it's fiduciarily irresponsible for the board to extend. And the irony is that they might extend it and still pay more out of pocket every year anyway, which shows they don't care. They don't do any research. They don't care that we're going to lose the Canadian drug plan and pay 33 to 85% more for the drugs in the new plan and how that impacts. They don't care about anything, CJ, whether it's the retirement system. So what are historically incompetent and overspending governments attack? What do they do in every city and town throughout the United States? What do they attack? The retirement system? To steal money? to siphon money from the retirement systems and the healthcare systems. And this is why the retirement is always a problem in every city in the United States. They talk about the cost of retirement, but they leave that equation half filled. They forget to finish that saying it's in trouble because we continue to do dumb crap like never paying it off, keep kicking it down the road. And we take money from the healthcare because we can. We shift the burden to the employee, even though they're working diligently to keep costs down. We don't care. We're going to take the money out of their pocket. So if you look historically at every city and town that's in financial trouble, you will see that there is their pension system and the healthcare has been attacked. And it's because those two areas have the most money in them. And they attack them because they're allowed to. And then the thing that pisses me off about this whole thing is then they go back and complain about it. They caused the problem. They run out of money because they spend too much, but it's the taxpayers' fault. It's the city employees' fault. We're going to go after a retirement system that Mary Sahadi sat there 2 years ago complaining about the unfunded liability, and the next month she was testifying to move people's groups into a thing that would put a greater burden on the unfunded liability. So talk about trying to have your cake and eat it too. That's what they always do. But they cost it. This retirement system was almost fully funded in 2002. It was 70% funded. And what happened? They robbed for 10 years, and they're trying to rob again. But guess what? I'm fighting them, and I'm going to continue to fight them. And let's hope that everybody else in the city starts paying attention to what Kevin Aguiar said. Start tightening your belt. Start getting rid of the dead wood. Start looking at what works and what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, get rid of it or make it work. And this is where we're at now. And this is only the beginning, folks. This year is going to be a cakewalk compared to next year. So remember, there's a fee coming to your house in the not too distant future, because he's going to give you a break. He's not going to give you the purple bags back, but he's going to put back. Let's see if this kind of political heat will back him off that one now. But let's remember, all I got to say is Sam Sutter.
Well, interestingly enough, I was speaking with a couple of people who are forming the committee to recall the mayor. And because they can collect the signatures electronically, they believe they can get this done pretty rapidly. And then you've got people like CAG, which are considering an underride. Initially, it was between $35 and $50 million. Now it's between 15 and 30 million, because 35 to 50 million, the city couldn't afford it. They can't afford 5 cents right now. As a matter of fact, they're meeting their budgetary needs using the stabilization fund, and they're causing a structural deficit in the system. They met the 100% net school spending by taking $3,500 out of the stabilization, $3,500,000 out of the stabilization fund and put it into the school department budget. That's how they made it 100%. That money is disappearing rapidly. It's not going to be there shortly. And then what are you going to do to meet the necessary needs?
Tax and spend, steal money from the city employees, what they always do. And therein lies the key. And didn't you say, CJ, with my ears deceiving me, didn't you say that Mary Sahadi has included that fee in the budget?
Yes, she did.
And the purple bags.
Yes, she did.
So what they were talking about yesterday was all BS, because half of the stuff in that budget they're not going to get. She's putting together a budget. Number one, did she tell the council that her request to PERAC is really only a request? She technically can't do that. The board has jurisdiction over what we adopt, and we adopted a 2035, and that's a fiduciarily responsible. We could have made it 30, but we gave the city a break by taking 35. You think we're going to go to 40? They don't have my vote. I can tell you that much. They don't have my vote because I have a fiduciary responsibility to keep that system as healthy as possible and make it better so the people who are working today will have a pension system when they retire. And you can be damn sure I'm going to do that.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because with healthcare, with a 50-50 split on healthcare, oh, did I say that?
Oh. It cut out.
My mistake. I should have said that. Well, it said. They're looking at a potential 50-50 split on healthcare costs. How is a woman or a man receiving a pension from the city who worked for the city back in the 50s and 60s? How are they supposed to see that money? How are they supposed to make that money happen? They're gonna get it one check a month, and they're gonna barely have enough money to buy a prescription.
It may even exceed their check, some of these people. But listen, that 50-50 you have to be accurate. That was never said by the mayor. It was said by another person that it was being considered. So they did put it on the table, but Mary said they did put down a 1% shift. It went from 75-25 to 26-74. So then I had to remind her that she can't do that because that's a change in premium. Premium isn't covered under 32B, the PEC. As far as I'm concerned, legally that has to go to the collective bargaining units under 150E because in chapter 32B, section 22, it clearly states that bargaining responsibilities under either section 19 of 32B or chapter 150E if you don't if you haven't adopted 19, which the city has not, is required. So that's an impact bargaining issue. So I told her, forget about it. Don't put this on the table in the PEC. It's not where it belongs. Just like she thinks elongating the payment will be cheaper. It may be cheaper, it may be more expensive, but it will be more expensive in the long run because it's like your credit card. You know, if you and I both buy a car, and I decide to pay $300 a month and pay it off in 3 years, and you want to get a deal, so you say, I'm going to take 50 years, and I'm going to pay you $2 a week and get 27% interest. Who's going to pay more for the car?
I think I would.
Yeah, I'm going to pay $600 in interest over a 3-year loan, and you're going to pay triple the cost of the car. A $15,000 car, you're going to pay $45,000 for. You know, I mean, it makes no sense. How does this woman call herself an auditor, a CFO? All she knows how to do is figure out where she can grab money without any regard for the impact of what she's doing on people. Well, then again, she doesn't care. We're not people. We're liabilities. We're numbers.
Well, one of the things they said yesterday was, we've scrubbed the budget. We've scrubbed the budget. We've scrubbed the budget. Take Kevin Aguiar's statement for the way it is. Look back at those budgets 5 years ago. Look at the personnel. Look at the number of people you hired. Look at the pay raises. And then that's where you start scrubbing. And I'm not saying get rid of the clerks that do all the work. Get rid of the high-paying jobs that really aren't doing any work. Get rid of the high-paying jobs. Get rid of the consultants. Get rid of the people that are brought in on contract. It's not our job to pay their contract. It is not our job. It is their job. And that's the end of it. And we're out of time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Monday. Stay safe.